Hello, everybody who's here and everybody who will be watching later because of inconvenient timings. Welcome to the this meeting of the Disabled and Non-Disabled Alliance. I believe it's our second one officially of the semester. We've had other activities going on, so my head's not right in this area, but I believe it's our second one, and it's on recreational therapy, benefits thereof, and the experiences of a recreational therapist. My name is William Wyatt. I'm president of the Disabled Non-Disabled Alliance, and today you will not be hearing a whole heck of a lot from me, I imagine, because we have with us a guest speaker who is Dr. Eric Luvaas, a assistant professor at Sacramento State and a recreational therapist in his own right. Bless you.
Excuse me, so.
And yeah, so this whole time essentially is set aside for his presentation and the discussion to follow about recreational therapy and whatever we happen to come up with in response to that presentation. So I'll just go ahead and turn the mic over to Professor.
Wait. Actually, I want to do an icebreaker because we have a lot of new people here too. So
yeah, sounds good. We have new people.
Yeah, so we just want to know your name, your pronoun, your major, your year, and some of your hobbies. And I can start. My name is Brian Tao. I go by he, him, his. My major is environmental studies, and my year is fourth year. I'm going to graduate next semester though. And I guess one of the hobbies is, I guess, to help with this club. On Instagram, I make a lot of videos, and I actually did a poster for Hodina too, first time. Okay, and the next one will be Rian.
Hello. Here to you live from my bedroom eating takeout ramen. My name is Rian Dinsands. My pronouns are they, them, theirs, themselves. My major is currently child development with a focus on elementary pre-credentials, but that may change. Things have been happening, so we'll see how that goes. I'm supposed to be in my fourth year, but I'm actually on a gap year right now because learning hard, pandemic hard, not enough brain power for that. My hobbies include singing badly, reading 5 pages and then getting distracted and then picking the book back up 3 months later, and eating's a hobby, right? and playing video games. Pokemon Arceus has overtaken my life in both good and bad ways.
Yeah, absolutely. I forgot to mention that I like eating too. I'm a big foodie too. And also, I am an officer of this club. I'm the treasurer. I forgot to mention that. And next person is William Nguyen.
Oh, hi everybody. This is my first time here. So my name is William Nguyen. That's my nickname. Actually, concrete, but it's harder to say. So my pronoun is like he, him, and my major is interior architect. And this is my 5th year, and I will graduate like 3 more semesters. And my hobby is like to travel, and I actually do video editing like Brian did. So it's really enjoyable. Yep.
Yeah, and the next person is the other William.
I'm the other William now, am I? You know what? Fine,
Yep.
Makes sense. I'm the lower priority William. Obviously I'm William Wyatt. I use the he series. What are the other questions? Major is philosophy, and year is, I don't know. I've been in college for a long time, since like 2016, but I should be graduating at the end of next semester. And I kind of have a hobby. Okay, so here's the thing. I found a book club who is comprised entirely of philosophy students, or philosophy interested students from University of California, Irvine. I made them through my friends with them through my connections in San Diego, and they are now my hobby. Like that group of people who talks about philosophy like as compulsorily as I do. So there you go. That's them. I don't have any fun things to do.
Yeah, the next person is Kimberly.
Hi everyone. My name is Kimberly. My pronouns are he or she, her, them. She, her, them. My major is Asian Studies and with an emphasis in Japanese, and I'm I guess I'm a junior. I'm a transfer student, so my hobbies include it sounds like all of the hobbies mentioned could be my hobbies. And I guess just like learning about stuff would be a hobby. Talking about philosophy is always cool too. Uh, yoga used to be my hobby, kind of. That's about it. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, honestly, learning is a really good hobby. It really
Yeah.
is. I like learning too. And finally, there is Dr. Luvaas.
Thanks for having me, everyone. Yeah. So my name is Eric Luvaas. My pronouns are he, him, his, and my major is recreational therapy, I guess. I'm in the Recreation, Parks, and Tourism Administration department. But really my major at this point in my life is continued learning. So in a variety of subjects. And my year in college is let's see, 17, if you count all the years of education plus teaching now. So love higher education, love academia. My hobbies primarily, if I'm honest, include mostly spending time with my kids, as much outdoor time as I can, and exploring nature. But if I'm sans children, then I'll be mountain biking. That's probably it. Snowboarding maybe, but snow's not too good right now.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Dr. Luvaas, you can take the floor now.
Okay, great. I'll share my screen with everyone. So thank you all for having me. It's nice to know this group, and I had a connection with Brian from different class, and then Rian and William came and talked to one of my recreation therapy classes. So I'm here to talk to you about recreational therapy as it relates to individuals with disabilities, as well as just a little bit of a preview into one of my previous occupations as the recreational therapist at Shriners Hospitals for Children in Portland, Oregon. So some of this is a little textbooky, but just to give you an idea, a recreational therapist utilizes a wide range of activities and community-based interventions that are recreation and leisure-based. And the intention is to use recreation and leisure as a modality to improve all the different dimensions of wellness and health. So physical well-being, cognitive, emotional, social, and also helping our clients or our participants identify how they can enact a healthy leisure lifestyle. Because as you all may know, what you do in your non-obligatory time, your non-work time, your non-school time, it can play a role in your health and well-being. And probably some of you do gravitate towards those leisure activities you mentioned for specific reasons, because they relieve stress, or they provide you a social experience with friends, or they exercise your creativity, your self-expression. So there's all of these reasons and benefits that we engage in recreation and leisure. And so as a recreational therapist, we help our participants develop skills and knowledge and behaviors related to the purposeful use of recreation and leisure for a therapeutic outcome. So I'll say that we're different than recreation workers or recreation specialists, supervisors, coordinators, folks you might run into on a cruise or at your Parks and Recreation department in your city, in that the way we design our programs is about reaching that therapeutic goal. So we work in a wide variety of settings in healthcare and community. And this is maybe not as important to you, but just to give you an idea, we work in acute and long-term rehabilitation hospitals. We work in long-term care facilities. like rehab and also assisted living facilities for older adults. We work in the prisons, we work in psychiatric hospitals, we work in the schools, public parks and recreation, doing adaptive recreation and inclusive recreation and sport. Sacramento State University has a recreational therapist on staff. Her name is Olivia Gook. Has anyone run into Olivia or talked to her?
Yes, she's amazing. I can vouch for her character. She's really
Fantastic.
chill and work focused. She's great. Okay, I haven't seen her in a
Great.
while, but she's great. Olivia, if
Yeah.
you're hearing this, I miss you.
Fantastic. Yeah. So I encourage you all to connect with Olivia Gook over at the Well on campus. They have online and in-person programming going on. You can try out some adaptive recreation sports. In fact, I remember now, Rian, I think you mentioned power soccer was something that you participated in.
Yes, we actually have a game this Sunday, and I am very hyped for it. It's in Folsom. I don't know if they're accepting visitors, like
Very
public
exciting.
viewing of the game, but
Is it at the Athletic Center in Folsom?
I think so. Yeah.
Right on.
I'm super hyped for it.
Well, good luck to you. Yeah, I hope it's a really fun time.
Thanks.
And then, that's settings. And then population wise, we work with all sorts of folks with disabilities, diseases, and illnesses. So we work in behavioral and mental health with older adults or geriatric populations, physical medicine, people with physical disabilities, and people with cognitive disabilities. So again, I mentioned this before, therapeutic recreation is kind of the field that we work in, and it does tend to be a little bit more leisure focused. But our practice is recreational therapy. So you might experience some therapeutic recreation on your own time, right? Some recreation with some sort of positive beneficial outcome for your health and well-being. That's therapeutic recreation in some ways. But the practice in our field is recreational therapy. And again, we're focused on a functional outcome or some sort of a therapeutic outcome. And then, speaking about it more academically, we have models of practice that drive our practice. We have theory that we derive from, and we use the research literature to support our programming with evidence-based interventions. So you can see, like, we have models of practice designed for the different populations and settings. And this is our primary process. And I guess I'm showing this to y'all because you're students. So you never know when you're going to acquire a new major. So I just got to give you a little bit of a insight into what we're about. As a recreational therapist, being different from a recreational worker, we use a process called the API process, or it's APIE, or the recreational therapy or therapeutic recreation process, it's sometimes called. So just like you would at a doctor's office or seeing an occupational or physical therapist or a speech therapist, we do an assessment with our participants. We use that assessment to inform our practice, our planning for our interventions. We implement those, and then we do an evaluation piece to see what sort of therapeutic outcome was elicited or maybe was not elicited, and then we revise that. So it's a systematic process, and we're also credentialed at the national level. So our students all earn a bachelor's degree in recreational therapy. They complete a 560-hour internship with a certified recreational therapist, and then they take a national examination to become a CTRS, which is a certified therapeutic recreation specialist. So that's the credential that allows folks to practice. Some states also have licensure, where you'll be licensed by a state licensure board, where it's required by law that you have certain credentials. And then we have professional associations like many of your fields. Ours is the American Therapeutic Recreation Association. So if you're interested in learning more about recreational therapy, you can visit ATRA, American Therapeutic Rec Association, and you could also visit our credentialing body, the National Council on Therapeutic Recreation Certification. Okay, any questions about what recreational therapy is in general before I jump into about Shriners?
Yeah, I had a question. How many
Yeah,
years does it take, like, to get that degree, or do you have to get like additional education?
No, so it's designed. It's a 4-year. It's a Bachelor's of Science entry-level practice degree. So we have students that join us from their freshman year, and it takes them about 4 years to finish with all their general education and their major coursework. And then we have students come in as transfer students from community college, and it usually takes them about 3 or 4 semesters to finish their coursework with us. Depends on how ambitious they are, how good they are at things like anatomy and physiology and abnormal psychology and then all the rec therapy courses. But also we have some folks that come back and do a graduate degree with us, and on top of their graduate coursework, they'll complete the minimum course requirement to become certified. So just depends on how much you love school. Any other questions?
Probably unrelated, but what is the coolest form of recreational therapy you've encountered? Like, in terms of different activities that your patients can do, what is the coolest one in your personal opinion?
Well, I'm so
The
glad you
hot
asked that,
rod
Rian.
flames index, by the way.
Oh, yeah, right. It's a great question because I'm actually going to tell you about that with the slideshow.
Oh,
So,
nice. Okay.
I mean, it's great that Brian was asking me to talk about Shriners, because I think that is the coolest form of recreational therapy. It's my personal favorite. It's working with kids, and in terms of activities, I am an outdoor recreation, nature-based recreator, so I love all of that. And so I'll show you some of the stuff I've done with Shriners related to it. Okay. So I used to work as the recreational therapist at Shriners Hospitals for Children in Portland, Oregon. We also have a Shriners here in Sacramento. They all have a little bit different focus. It's a nonprofit, charity-based hospital. There's 21 hospitals throughout the country and one in Mexico City. Patients or participants go there for orthopedic surgery to address musculoskeletal or neuromuscular disabilities. They do bill insurance, but by and large, people do not pay for services there. So it's a really wonderful place to work. It's all focused on taking care of the kids and making sure that their families are taken care of as well. So this is just a picture here to kind of get you thinking about adaptive recreation of a scuba program that used to be run at that program, at that hospital. So my job at this orthopedic neuromuscular hospital was to run the recreation therapy and movement arts program. So people would come in and they'd have surgery, or they'd go to outpatient therapy like physical or occupational therapy or speech therapy. And, you know, at most hospitals, that's it. And you're discharged once you're able to be safe at home. But recreational therapy takes it a step further, because we're interested in knowing, how are you going to function independently in the community? How are you going to make sure you can get involved and be part of a club like this and recreate with friends and not be isolated because of your disability or condition? So in recreation therapy, we think about that. Like, what are people going to do in the community and connect to their peers, et cetera? So this, you know, this is a little wordy, but we strive to provide services that help improve functional ability, promote and the application of leisure skills, reduce isolation and boredom, promote awareness of adaptive equipment and techniques. We educate people about the community and try to help them integrate a healthy leisure lifestyle. So what that looks like in practice is helping kids learn leisure skills like physical play, introducing them to activities they may not be aware of, and showing them how to adapt those activities so that they can engage. So for instance, if we wanted to do some tabletop games and folks had some fine motor control issues like with grip, then we would use some adaptive equipment and show them how to participate in a leisure activity where they could modify some of the equipment and still engage with a small group. So we focus on social skills as well for folks with speech impairments and other cognitive impairments. We do functional skills using aquatics and relaxation activities. We had a hippotherapy program, which is also known as equine assisted therapy, where we take folks out on horseback riding and they learn through cues with the horse, some cognitive skills, but it also, horses have an amazing ability to try to simulate some of the rhythm and the gait of humans. And so it can actually help people learn how to walk again if they have a neuromuscular condition that limits that. And then we had all sorts of outpatient programs. Primarily what I did at Shriners was I visited folks so they're in the hospital, but then we also hosted programs and activities in the hospital. And then a lot of stuff we did was outside the hospital. So we took people swimming, we took people to equine therapy, we took people hand cycling, and using recumbent bikes and all sorts of adaptive bike equipment. And we partnered with community partners like the Parks and Recreation Department, another nonprofit in Portland that I worked for called Oregon Disability Sports. Now it's called Adaptive Sports Northwest. If you're interested in learning what they do, they have an Instagram, Adaptive Sports Northwest. So we'd get them in the community. We'd help folks with transportation awareness using public transit, functional skills, how to get an accessibility or assessment or an accommodation through Parks and Rec or other facilities. We had resource fairs, tons of different stuff, but it's all about getting kids out and playing and recreating and figuring out how they can lead as normalized an experience as possible. We had a specific fitness programs for different kiddos that would come in, focus on different goals. And really a lot of our outpatient program was about recreation participation and not so much focused on like the therapy of it. We kind of like snuck in the therapy, you know, like you make it fun. You don't realize you're gaining functional skills or you're acquiring new leisure skills and knowledge for community activity. So 60% of our services were offered outpatient, and we engaged with the families. So we would have siblings come, we'd have the mom and dads come, the parents, the partners, whoever, and they would engage. So like you asked one of the coolest programs, what did you do? Well, this is definitely one of the cooler programs we did. Anyone know what's going on here in this photo?
Is that adaptive skiing?
You got it.
I've always wanted to try that. It
Yeah,
looks
and you
scary,
should.
but it also looks very fun.
It is scary. I can tell you that. I've sat in one of those and tried to go down a mountain. It's scary. And I am a snowboarder. So, but you're strapped into that thing. The good news about downhill sit skiing, it's called sit skiing. And there's two forms. There's a bi-ski where you have two independently articulating skis underneath you. And then there's mono skiing where you have one ski and you have to use the edges, which is more challenging. Requires higher level of independence and skill. You need to just practice to get there. The nice thing about starting out though is that you see this young man has 3 volunteers from my program helping him out. So help him get on the chairlift, go to the top of the mountain, a little bit scary, but he has outriggers. So it looked like crutches arms. And then at the bottom, there's a mini ski on both sides. So that's his stability on both sides. You also have articulating skis underneath his seat. And then in addition to that, you have a volunteer skier who is tethering his sit ski. So there's 2 pieces of webbing that come off the back, and you have an upright skier holding onto that, and they can actually steer you. You could do nothing, and they'll take you all the way down the mountain and steer you from left to right, make sure you don't crash. So that's, in a nutshell, that's recreation therapy, because what we can do is teach them about the equipment, get them out there and experience something they may enjoy, and it can be a fully facilitated experience. And then when this guy's ready to try it a little bit for himself, he straps on his outriggers, he's got his 2 skis down for stability, still have someone tethering him, and they're just gonna like see what he can do and lightly pull on the tethers. And then if he needs a full stop, they can do that. Eventually though, some of our kiddos became tether free, and they had volunteer assistants helping them by just skiing with them, like a buddy would ski with you, but they were fully in control of their bi-ski with no tether on. And then people, you know, eventually if they got really into it, they'd graduate to using a mono ski. And that's where you can see those YouTube videos of guys doing backflips off giant kickers. And I don't know how they land that, but amazing stuff can happen. So the other cool stuff we did is some camping programs. We did adaptive kayaking, horseback riding, fishing, scuba diving, anything you can think of that would be recreation and leisure. We provided some opportunities for kids and their families to get involved. Martial arts, dance, scuba, yoga and Pilates, tons of different art, nature-based art. And then of course, we did some court sports, some field sports, adaptive golf, hand cycling. I started an aquatics program in combination with a nonprofit I worked with. Tons of different things. And a big feature of my time there was that we collaborated with program partners in the community. So I was a party of one, but I had a ton of volunteers, of people who are dedicated to the program. And so we would work with nonprofits to get equipment and expertise in areas that maybe we didn't have it. And then we'd have our volunteers who were trained to work with the kids that we worked with. And that collaboration was a really nice way to get folks out trying new recreational leisure activities. So that's really in a nutshell. It's a little picture of some of my adaptive ski volunteers up at Mount Hood, Timberline ski area. And great dedicated group of people. I'm sure some of these people are still volunteering for the ski program. And this is now, oh gosh, 12 years later.
Okay.
So that's what I have for you guys. Questions?
Yeah,
Brilliant.
I had another question. So, like, who kind of volunteers? How do you do outreach for volunteers to come?
A lot of it was word of mouth. Something magical about Shriners Hospital. When people start volunteering there, they just love it and they commit. And then they tell their friends and they're like, you got to come. It's so much fun. These kids have the biggest smiles and it's such a positive place to work. And so a lot of it was word of mouth. I think there was some flyers, that would be distributed, et cetera. But we'd also get volunteers from the nonprofits that we worked with. So we worked with a nonprofit called AWL, Adventures Without Limits. And they had people who are experts in outdoor recreation, adventure recreation, kayaking and hiking and caving, things like that, rock climbing. So we'd rely on them for expertise and equipment, and we'd partner with them to provide programs for Shriners kids, but then some of their staff would come volunteer with us. So it was a mix.
Yeah, definitely. It's something that I wish that I would have joined because I'm disabled, and this will be really fun because I never got to experience adaptive kayaking, adaptive skiing. That'd be really fun.
Yeah. Well, I think it's something that you could ask around about. For instance, they should be able to accommodate you up at the Sacramento State Aquatic Center. So, for instance, you could also reach out to Olivia Guck, and she could definitely give you an assessment and try to help you figure out, what you might need to go up there. We have also had some adaptive kayaking clinics run by faculty in recreation therapy. Pandemic kind of put a damper on that activity, but we really do want to start that back up again. So, maybe that's something we could do with Dana sometime in the future. If you had some folks interested, we have a lot of adaptive kayaking equipment, but it's just a matter of staffing it and to make sure that it's safe. And then, I wouldn't hesitate to reach out to Shriners when COVID's kind of subsided a bit. You don't have to be without a disability to volunteer for programs like this. And certainly social modeling is super important for kids, right? To see adults with similar disabilities, highly functioning, getting college degrees, having a healthy leisure lifestyle. Kids always love seeing, college students, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely something we can think about in the future. That was some really fun. Dana's recreational trip.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking maybe our last meeting of the year could be an adaptive sports day, trying out different adaptive sports or something. I'd have to talk to the and Olivia Gawk about that because I feel like that'd be a lot of effort to set up, and I don't know how COVID's going to be by then, but that's definitely something I'd want to explore with the club is
Sure.
opening that door for a lot of people.
Well, I think one thing you could do without having to organize something new is to capitalize on their existing programs. So if they start doing in-person stuff like, wheelchair rugby or wheelchair basketball or some hand cycling programs, well, then you just give her fair warning and say all the Dana folks are going to show up. And you guys can just take over the place, and then bring your friends, people with and without disabilities, and have a good time.
Year 2022 is the year that the well got annexed by Dana.
That's right.
Under sovereign control.
Well, the more people who are participating, the more fun it looks, right?
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah, I think it's a great idea. I mean, wheelchair basketball is a blast, and we can't afford power chairs, but it'd certainly be fun to get some power soccer going on, even as a spectator sport.
Yeah, definitely. There's nothing like crashing into each other at high speeds on the court. Am I right?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't trust anyone who's not a power chair user to play power soccer anyway.
We at BORP, the facility my team plays at, we have these kind of open house sports days where the public can come in and try these adaptive sports, and um it's pretty chaotic when the audience members get into the power chairs, especially if they're not power chair users themselves.
You
They
got to turn the
are
speed down,
very
way down.
visibly uncomfortable operating the power chair, and
Oh, yeah,
it's a good laugh, but you definitely kind of need a bit of prior experience operating a power chair in order to
yeah,
do the sport safely.
definitely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I have a
yeah,
question. Sorry, Brian.
yeah, yeah, you can go first. I don't mind.
Okay, sorry. So for someone who wants to get into adaptive sports with an organization like the ones you've worked with, but who isn't a student and has never done anything like this before, what would you recommend they do in order to get connected and get involved? Like, is there a form they need to fill out or a deposit
Well,
fee they need to pay, or do
do
you
you
just
mean
show
at the
up?
well, or what do you mean?
Just in general, like
I
if you
think,
don't have access to the well, if you're not a
right, if you're a
student.
community member,
Yeah.
then you really have to seek out your community-based resources. So that would be in Sacramento, that would be Access Leisure, which is their adaptive and inclusive program through the Parks and Recreation Department. And we have actually one of our graduate student alums that's a coordinator, rec therapy coordinator there, and we work closely with her. So Access Leisure in Sacramento. You know, there are a number of other programs that have started and not succeeded in continuing in Folsom and Elk Grove. Davis has a continuing adaptive and inclusive recreation program, although they don't have a recreational therapist, but they're still doing, you know, they're still getting folks with disabilities involved and doing some cool stuff. So I think it's just a matter of like finding, you know, looking for your resources. But as a university, we can also be a clearinghouse for information. So like if you had a friend or community member, for instance, who was looking for some of those resources, we could always, you know, you can send them our way. We can answer some questions, network with our community of rec therapists to try to figure it out. Yeah, it's not always apparent, you know, there's some nonprofits and there's some like government-based programs, but they're not always the best at publicizing.
Thank you.
We at Dan are guilty of not being the best at publicizing for sure.
Hey, I'm guilty of that too. I don't do any social media, so you guys are way ahead of me.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about like why is it beneficial for disabled people to go out and experience like those kind of things like kayaking, skiing?
Well, I think it's the same reason it's beneficial to anyone, right? It's about, you know, challenging yourself, pushing your limits. It's about living a self-determined life, you know? It's about socializing and just having fun. And maybe if you're into thrill seeking, you know, that's another piece of it. So it's the same reasons anyone goes out and recreates. And, you know, rec therapists and other folks who work in this line of work are there to help people adapt and figure out accommodations to make it successful.
Yeah, definitely. Going out is great. It helps with like everything, your mental health.
Oh yeah, especially right now when
Mhm.
a lot of us are still kind of like staying at home more. Just trying to find ways to get out of your house, get out of your normal routine.
I'd like
Any other
to
questions? Yeah,
I'd like to encourage the general members of the club to shoot something in here. We the officers are very used to talking, so I apologize for any sentiment to the effect that we may be like dominating the conversation here a little bit. Just any of the general members have like questions, comments, concerns? I don't know, concern, but like, yeah.
Well, you can always email me as well. I'll put my email in the chat. And if folks have questions about recreational therapy, I'm happy to chat with Dana members.
Yeah, of course. And I also want to ask, just on my own account, I've been, I didn't look it up, but I did get kind of fascinated with the idea of that I overheard in the course of our like Dana giving like a blurb in one of your classes, because you mentioned, I think, an adaptive version of basketball, which was accessible to people with visual impairments specifically.
Oh,
And
right. Yeah. So
and I
we talked
wondered
about
how.
goal ball.
Sorry, what was that?
Yeah, goal ball.
Goal ball.
It's
Okay.
called goal ball, and you can look up some videos on it. It is a sport that's designed for people with visual impairments, and it's set up kind of like a indoor soccer field. So you have two goals on either end of the court, and you have, I think it's 3 players on each side at the like professional level. Of course, you need more than, well, yeah, it depends on how novice you are. It could be more people, but there's a ball that has bells in it, right? So you can hear it when it moves. And the object of the game is to chuck the ball, roll it as hard as you can across the court and score on the other team's goal. And so the game is played in silence, as you can imagine. So spectators and everyone is expected to be 100% silent when the game begins. And offense team chucks the ball, defense team lays out to block the ball. And it's a pretty fun sport to watch, because at the high level, these people, I mean, they are incredibly accurate with their ability to just chuck their body, you know, in a direction and somehow block the ball from getting in their goal. And they can listen to the footsteps of the opposite of their opponents and figure out where they are on the court, and then strategically throw the ball to score. So it's pretty fun to watch. Definitely hard to play if you don't have a visual impairment.
Definitely. I wonder if it's like good representation to bring up, but it reminds me a little bit of the Daredevil Netflix series.
Oh,
Like,
sure.
just the
Yeah.
sheer sort of
Sure.
extrasensory accuracy.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, and you know, we have VI goggles, we call them, visual impairment simulation goggles. And so, you know, everything at the well is treated as adaptive for people with disabilities, but also inclusive recreation. So folks without visual impairments can play, because we just give you blackout goggles and you can't see anything, and then you can try it out.
Yeah, good training. Good training.
Yeah. So there is something that will come up for you all, maybe you might be interested in. It won't happen this year, but since I started teaching here in 2018, we have had 2 of these adaptive sports samplers. And so we do host them at the well, and Olivia and I and my colleagues in recreation therapy and some of our community-based rec therapists come out, and we bring out all the equipment. So people can come from the community, come into the well, and for a solid afternoon, they can try wheelchair basketball, wheelchair rugby, goal ball, hand cycling, you know, tennis chairs, adaptive rock climbing, all sorts of stuff. So keep your ears open for that. I really hope we can bring it back in the fall. And that'd be a really fun club event, I imagine.
Definitely. I've tried the adaptive rock climbing with the one where you have to pull the bar down.
Pull
to
up
go
bar,
up.
yeah, with the pulley system.
I think I got about halfway up before I chickened out because of the height. I've never been
Oh wow,
that
good
high
for you.
before.
I thought you were gonna say you got too tired, because that pull-up bar will just take it out of
Yeah,
you.
well, I can't take all the credit because they had like 3 different people pulling the rope from below because I couldn't actually pull my weight enough to move.
Yeah, but that's okay. I mean, you know, and that's part of rec therapy too. It's like adaptation. We can use a pulley system to maximize the lift for you, but you're still engaged. And then, you know, if you were really into it, then you know, we'd slowly reduce the amount of lift it gave you, and you'd be doing more of the work. So yeah,
It was very fun. I chickened out, but it
cool.
was very fun.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that's always a
Any
good
other
sign
questions?
when it's like accessible, but you chicken out.
Yeah,
That means it worked.
lots of people chicken out. Yeah, you know, heights aren't for everyone.
just want to say
Cool.
again, like I want to make sure we're fielding questions from the general membership. Obviously, even post meeting, you're totally free and clear to like post questions on the Discord. We can always like, I think Dr. Luvaas, you're actually on our Discord server at the moment.
Yeah,
which
I
is
think I
also kinda
joined
cool.
it and then I haven't looked at it since. I'm not great on the all the different apps.
That's all right.
Well,
The point is like that would be so. Just if you're for any reason not hesitant to put your thoughts out here and now, or if you think of something later, that's a good place for it. Just
There you
wanted
go.
to make sure that's like understood insofar as it can be.
And in
Thanks,
the
William.
comment section of any of our posts or the video that we'll be posting on YouTube for this, we like to keep the conversation going because it's still relevant even after the meeting has ended. So just feel free to throw your thoughts at us anywhere on our pages or posts. We do
Great.
not mind and we encourage it.
Yeah, anything but a brick through the window.
And if anyone would like to contact me, I have to admit my email is going to be the best way to reach me. So it's really been a pleasure to chat with you all. Thanks so much for inviting me.
Wait, add more questions.
Oh yeah,
It's
Brian.
not done yet. Okay, my question is, what kind of got you into recreational therapy?
What kind of what?
What kind of got you into it?
Oh, what got me into?
Mhm.
Well, I was a sports science major to start my bachelor's degree, freshman in college. I was an athlete in college or in high school. I did track and field and cross country running and mountain biking and a bit of rock climbing and snowboarding. So I wanted to do something active, something to do with physical fitness and overall health. But in my introduction to sports science class, we had a recreation therapy professor come in and talk about the field, and it just kind of sold me because I thought, well, if I can combine helping people and something about health and wellness, and sometimes I get paid to play, that sounds great. So, and I do sometimes still get paid to play, like when we go kayaking or that adaptive sports sampler. So,
Absolutely. I know that you kind of moved. Like, is there like a reason why you moved from Portland, Oregon?
well, I just decided that after a few years of being a practitioner, I wanted to work in a different capacity. And I've always been kind of a nerd, like I said, always wanting to learn more. So I wanted to strive for my PhD and then work as a faculty. It's a great gig because I get to do research. I get paid to read the articles that I geek out on anyway. And then I get to do some research and do some writing, and I get to teach great students. And then also I get to play my practitioner role occasionally. And when the sports sampler happens, we're all rec therapists there. We're not professors, we're rec therapists. And then I get to work in the community a little bit as well in that capacity. So it's fun to play. It's fun to have a lot of hats, I guess, in one job.
Yeah, definitely. And those are all my questions.
Okay, great, Brian.
If the general chat like have any questions, just feel free to unmute yourself. Yeah, but I want to start sharing my slide now.
Cool.
Okay, and we have some announcements to make.
Brian, and everyone, I think I'm gonna have to take off if it's okay.
Yeah, no worries.
But
Thank you so
I
much for your
appreciate your
time.
time, and yeah, thanks for the invitation. I think this is a fantastic group, and I'm really glad this club exists on campus. So, keep in touch. I'm sure I'll see you, Brian, but others of you, I hope to see you again soon.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
You
Hey,
too.
thank you so
Bye.
much. Bye. Okay. So these are our announcements. So we have our own podcast, if you haven't known, through our lens with the Disabled and Non-Disabled Alliance. And this is our official schedule. And we kind of put TBA on like March 14th, March 28th, April 4th, because we kind of want the club's input. We kind of want guests to be here. I know that William is going to be a guest for next week's. And
try it.
Mhm. Yeah, and Kimberly is going to be our guest speaker at some point. I'm not sure, but you're going to be in here. But like if anyone else is interested, just feel free to reach out to us on Discord, on Instagram, or reach out to us on email, dana@sacstate@gmail.com. We just started that this last semester, but we're using that more. And
I
then
want to add,
Mhm.
you don't have to be good at public speaking or be super smart or well adjusted to, recording formats or anything. When in our recordings, we're literally just talking and goofing off the entire time. So if you are a completely average person with average skills, that is fine. We want you there. So do not underestimate yourself. If you want to do it, then come do it. We are very excited to have you. You don't have to be good at it. It's okay.
Honestly, I'm so bad at it, but at least I try. At least I'll try. Yeah, but most of it is just a conversation, honestly. Like we're not really serious. We have a little bit of outline, but not really. We're going on a lot of tangents and stuff, which is quite fun.
And
But
there's-
you guys make me feel less nervous.
Good. We want that. We want that.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're gonna be here for next week. Okay, thank you for attending our meetings. Here's more announcements. So March 3rd is
they just
so
keep
March
coming.
3rd is yeah. So March
Sorry, go
3rd is our next meeting. It's gonna be a disability as a form of diversity. But before March 3rd, we're gonna do an event called the Disability Day of Mourning. And Rian, can you explain more about it?
Yeah, so this is a day commemorated every year on March 1st to honor the lives of disabled people who have been murdered in filicide. That is to say, they were murdered by their caretakers, parents, or any other relatives that were responsible for them. It is a very depressing topic and a generally sad day, but I find it personally important to acknowledge the lives of these people and what's happened to them, specifically because whenever it happens enough for it to gain media attention, it's written off as a mercy killing or excused. There's a lot of sympathy for the murderer rather than the victim. And oftentimes the victim goes so unacknowledged that this day is really the only day their lives are honored. So, if you have the emotional strength for it, I'd really appreciate it if you guys came to this vigil that we will be holding. It will include a reading of the names of recent victims, a moment of silence, hopefully some guest speakers and readings as well, and with a discussion about the topic and what we can do to help mitigate it.
I'll
absolutely.
forewarn that if I
Mhm.
speak during the Disability Day of Mourning like ceremony meeting that we do, it's gonna get like political.
I know.
There are systemic
I've accepted
systemic
that. It's
factors at
okay.
play.
There is an aspect of politics to it though, but we will dive into that more later.
Yeah, absolutely. And my last announcement. So next week, Monday, February 21st at 12 p.m., you can check out our podcast. We just recorded it like right before our general meeting today, but it's a really good conversation about physical and occupational therapy. You kind of learn more about it and just listen to our personal experiences with it. So
That's
William,
pretty much it.
go.
Okay, so I believe those are all the announcements. If I have my own schedule straight in my head, in that case, I'll go ahead and outro us. Thank you everybody who's here, especially, and everybody who's watching later who may have not been able to be here. Special thanks again to Dr. Eric Luvaas for not only coming to the meeting, but like in general, the things that he seems to be doing with his time. Pretty good stuff. So yeah, that's it. That's I think the second meeting of the Disabled and Non-Disabled Alliance of spring 2022 in the books. Thanks everyone for joining us, and I don't know,
Hashtag where's
watch
the
this
ramp?
space. We've got stuff going
Hashtag
on.
where's the ramp? Where's the ramp?
Yes, the obligatory where is the ramp?
And if you want to check out the games in Folsom this Sunday, I put the address in the chat, but it's the Andy Martin Sports Complex. It doesn't say anything officially anywhere about whether or not spectators are allowed, but they do require everybody who comes into the building to have a mask on and be fully vaccinated. So if you would like to check it out, feel free to swing by. Just make sure you have your mask and your vax card. But it really is a great and fun sport, and it ties in very nicely into this meeting's topic. The games are starting at 10 a.m. and they end at 4 p.m.
All right, cool. I'll leave you with that. Again, thanks everyone for joining us, and you've already gotten the announcement. We will see you next time.
Yeah, and hashtag where's the ramp?
Where's the ramp?